Will they find a home? Sponsored by Geico. Steve is intrigued by the paranormal.
Otherworldly spirits really make a house a home, you know?
Janice has different taste.
I'd like my house to not be haunted.
Compromise is tough, but these two won't have to compromise when they bundle home and car insurance with Geico. It's easy, and they could save even more. In the end, Steve and Janice found a renovated Victorian that's only haunted from 9 to 5.
Okay, wife's home. I gotta bounce.
Bye, Steve.
Bundling without compromise at geico.com.
From the basement of the Bob and Tom Studios, it's That Josh Arnold Podcast. Well, hello. Thank you, Mr. Announcer. It is That Josh Arnold Podcast. Here, the third full week of October. Man, oh man. The weather is getting crisp. The leaves are decorating our lawns with nature's beauty. All right. Man, the basement's dank today. Look at this. Ugh. Can we at least get a functioning light bulb? Not one of these lights that sort of flickers in and out. It's driving me crazy. I hate it down here, but I'm happy to be here. With, this is a good week. Why? Because we have a heck of a guest. My guest this week? Well, it's you, of course. What, are you kidding me? Who else would I have? Thank you so much for joining me. My gosh, good to see you. Before we get started, I want to announce this week's sponsor. We don't actually have legit sponsors right yet. Maybe eventually, but right now we have other sponsors. And this week's sponsor, A Nice Breeze. Don't you like a nice breeze? Aren't you? You're working out in the yard in the summer and the sun's kind of beating down. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just a nice breeze hits you. Yeah, feels good, doesn't it? Cools you off a bit. This week, we'd like to thank A Nice Breeze for sponsoring this week's podcast. I'm in a good mood because I love October. I love the fall. I think some people find it depressing because, it sort of signifies death in literature and things like that. The fall is symbolic of the passing of time and mortality and whatnot. Some people look at the trees and they don't like to see the leaves falling to the ground. I love it. I love the colors. I love the feel of the air, the smells of fall. My gosh, a distant fire? Are you kidding me? When you have somebody on your street who's got their fireplace going and you walk outside and you can smell oh man, it doesn't get any better. But I hope you're enjoying it. I hope if you don't care for fall, maybe this year you'll learn to embrace it a little more. So try to look at it positively. And speaking of positively, let's get positively nerdy with our first segment, of course, Vocabulary Corner. Well, this certainly seems to be an inappropriate noise for a Vocabulary Corner. That sounds more that would almost be Vocabulary Alert or Vocabulary Warning. All right, this week that's fine. We'll do Vocabulary Alert, Vocabulary Warning. Dive. Hey, that's not bad. We'll dive into vocabulary. Do you remember last week's word? Of course you do. Labiomancy, the art of lip reading. That's what that is. Well, this word, our vocabulary word for this week, is a preposition. We all know what a preposition is, of course. It is a word that expresses a certain predication. So, a word that tells you where something or underneath would be a preposition. Above, below, within. We all look. I don't need to teach you guys about modification words and what. But this word, a preposition, athwart. That's right. It is a preposition. It means against or in opposition to. So, I'll give you an example. my ideologies on food keep me athwart from vegans. Why? Because I like to eat animal products. So that would certainly be keep me athwart from the vegan philosophy. Much like their philosophies would keep them athwart from my meat-eating, what they might call barbaric ways. So there you go, athwart. It's not athwart. It's not something a person with a lisp would have on their buttock. It's athwart. So use that this week, won't you? I'm sure you can find reason to. It's election season, so certainly your views are probably athwart of others' views. So yeah, you can definitely get away with using that one this week. I like vocabulary corner, or as it were today, vocabulary warning. And also, like, I guess that's that submarine sound, but it also reminds me of the old jalopy, like, cars that would have that hawooga horn, which I've got to get. I know I can get one. I'm sure somebody out there can do it. Like, they can put that in a modern car, which the only problem with me getting one of those is I would certainly abuse it. I would overuse it as much as I could. And probably be rammed by other vehicles because I would be using it far too much. What can I tell you about this past week? Well, I'll tell you this. This brings us to our next segment. Things I enjoyed this week. Oh, how about this? Oh, you know what? I wasn't sure about this at first. Listen to that. Now I'm on board. Okay, this is officially the theme for the segment Things I enjoyed this week, rather, because listen to how happy this. Who would? If you're not aware, last week the inaugural episode, we didn't have any of these noises or music beds, so we decided to play them for the first time. This is the first I'm hearing of it, so that's why I'm so giddy. Oh, yeah, this is happy. What is this? You know, maybe this is a little... There's something sinister about how happy it is, too. It's sort of old-timey, and this is like something a maniac listens to while sewing a skin suit. But anyway, I like it. Something I enjoyed this week, I'll tell you right now. This is, ideally, or initially, rather, I thought that things I enjoyed this week would be about films or books or music. Last week it was music, but this week took me by surprise because something that I've really been enjoying this week is a game on my phone. And I don't have many games on my phone. I have maybe 4, a trivia game, a crossword, and I guess that's it. So this is actually the 3rd game on my phone. It's called Snake.io. Now, I'm sure you're probably familiar with Snake. I think we all had it on our flip phones. Like back in the day, it was this game that just sort of came with a lot of phones where you were this little squiggly line and you would eat pellets that were on the board there. And as you ate them, the snake got longer and you had to maneuver your way through sort of obstacles and such. Well, this is a much more... And it was pretty rudimentary, quite honestly. It was addicting and fun, but it was certainly low res. Well, this Snake.io, boy, have they upped the ante here? Because not only are you eating pellets and growing, but you're not dodging obstacles; you're dodging other snakes. And these snakes are played by people around the world. It's one of those games where you get on and you play, and there are 50 or however many other people playing from anywhere in the world. So, man, I was hesitant to download a new game on my phone because I knew I would play it. And that's what happens. I get something like this, and I get it on my phone, and it's all I do for like a week or two. And then I sort of lose interest and eventually delete the app or whatever. But in this case, I don't know. This one feels like it's here to stay. I mean, I am hooked. I played it so long Sunday that when I went to bed and closed my eyes, I could see the snakes moving, like squirming around. And it's not because, well, remember when Tetris came out for a certain generation? Of course, you'll be right. You'll be with me on this. You played Tetris, and then you would close your eyes and think about Tetris patterns. You would think about how certain blocks would fit on each other and how you could, get blocks or get lines to disappear. And all, like, it was just what happened because we all had Game Boys and we were all playing Tetris so much. Well, this is not really like that. I'm literally seeing the snakes as in like it's screwing with my retinas or rods and cones or whatever happens in the eyeballs. Like I close my. It's like it's similar to when somebody takes a flash picture and then you can still see the flash in your eyes. It's like it can't be good for my ocular activity. Like there's no way that this is healthy. But I the point of the game isn't to play it for 6 hours, which is what I did pretty much on Sunday while watching Law and Order SVU repeats and ordering. I'm sure something delicious. So, Snake.io, I'm really enjoying it. I have to be honest. I'm mean on it, all right? Because here's how the game works. You eat pellets and you grow, and then you can hit other snakes in the head with your head. You can kind of headbutt them, and then they turn into big pellets, and those pellets are worth more than the little ones. So I am murdering snakes. It's now my goal to just kill as many snakes as possible. Because in my head, I know that I'm like ruining. I don't know what this says about me, but I'm like ruining somebody's nice time. So you can give your snake a name. My snake is called Pliskin, which is an Escape from New York joke for you nerds out there. And so if you ever play this, snake.io, and you see Pliskin, it's me. And I promise you I'm being a jerk on there. I'm but you can see the other names. Like you can see names like Happy Granny or like I don't know, even something as simple as like Ken makes me laugh because it's just some guy who wants to play a game for a little bit, and then I come around and just headbutt them out of the game. Where most people they're just trying to collect their own pellets, and I'm just trying to turn them into big pellets and so that I can grow. It's I'm a jerk on it, and it's very fun. It's a fun game. If you decide to play it, look for me, Pliskin, and maybe name your snake something Bob and Tom related or something like, so that if I see that your name is something that I kind of recognize from the show or from things you know about me, I'll leave you alone. I'll do that. So so look for Pliskin, Plisken, after Snake Plissken, Kurt Russell's character in the Escape movies. Snake.io, I'm really enjoying it. I'm hoping that I stop enjoying it because there are things that I should be doing and I haven't been because of Snake.io. Speaking of things that I should be doing and haven't, spending my time doing something that I probably shouldn't, that brings us to this week's question. The question of the week. The pregnant pause there was very funny, and then it's circus music, and it is a circus out there, isn't it? What a vague, stupid thing to say. The question of the week. Yeah, this one probably doesn't fit, but who doesn't like this song? What do you think the name of this song is? I'm going to Google that as I'm speaking to you right now. I'm just going to Google famous circus song. I'm sure somebody listening right now knows the name of that song. And Under the Big Top. That's got to be it, right? That's got to be That's got to be the name of that song. All right. Well, that's I can't really find it, but Under the Big Top. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Is this the most exciting podcast you ever heard? Listening to somebody search for something on the internet? My God, what am I doing? I'm going to have this thing taken away from me in the second week. All right. We'll just go with it. It's called Under the Big Top. Write me at joshpodcast@bobandtom.com to correct me if I'm wrong, or to say, hey, man, you nailed it. Google nailed it, and you just read it out loud, Under the Big Top. But also send your questions to joshpodcast@bobandtom.com, like Kimberly did. Kimberly wrote in and wanted to know, well, she asks, how much porn do you actually watch? That's a fair question, Kimberly. You obviously listen to the Bob and Tom Show in the mornings. You know how I'm portrayed as some sort of porn-addicted, chronic self-abuser. To a certain extent, that's... Look, if you don't want a peek behind the curtain, if you want to believe that that's truly who I am, go ahead and shut this off, and I'll talk to you next week. But if you want to know the truth, as Kimberly seems to, then I will tell you it's not as much as you would be disappointed at how much I actually watch. It's not that much. It used to be. It used to be a lot, and it used to be a lot pre-internet, which is. It was way more difficult and embarrassing to get. I don't know what. I mean, I might not even be alive if the internet had been what it is now. When I was in my formative years, I would have, I don't know, masturbated myself into oblivion. I think it would have been one of the sadder funerals. Because everyone would have known how I went. Well, there would be some who saying, well, he went the way he wanted to go. But my mom would have to tell me. It does. All right, there's no reason to get it. Here's the deal. I don't watch that much. When I was younger, when I was in my, 20s, early 20s, I would have to go rent it on VHS. And you'd have to go to these weird, well, I don't want to be judgmental. You'd have to go to these porn shops. You'd have to go to these video stores that only had porn. Now you could go to some that had regular movies, mainstream movies, and then I guess they had a porn corner. I never did that because to me, that's brazen. You walk out of that little section with the beaded, the beads hanging in the doorway. And you walk out with whatever, weapons of ass destruction or whatever you're renting, and you are passing a family picking out the latest Pixar movie. That just seems, I don't know. I preferred, I rented mine at places that were solely for porn. And man, it got a little out of hand for a while, I'll be honest. I was a member of three different locations. One was called Award Video, which is lofty. Although I guess the AVNs are, awards technically, but there was nothing, award worthy about this place. It was like this old house. Kind of off like a side road, and you'd walk in, and it was about the room that you walked into at first was literally the size of a small closet, and there was like one of those Wizard of Oz. So the front door would close behind you, and then in front of you was like this Wizard of Oz. That's a horse of a different color. Windows like that would slide open, and there was a guy, and he would check that you had a lifetime membership. You had to buy, in order to go into this building, you had to buy a lifetime membership, which cost $1. So for $1, you would get this little card, and you this unlaminated, just flimsy sort of punch card type thing, and you would have to hold it up and go, "I'm a lifetime member, as you can see, of Award Video." It's a very, and then then they would buzz you in to this other door, and you would walk into the main rental place. So already just sleazy and gross, and you never. I mean, I never felt good about going in there. I was just giving into my baser desires, and so so you would walk in, and they had sections. So there would be, much like a Blockbuster would have comedy and horror and new release and all this stuff. There would be porn sections. So there would be the new releases, which is where I would go first because I wanted to see. Well, I wanted to be on, the forefront of what was new. I wanted. I mean, everybody loves Turner Classic Movies, but you also want HBO, and I would go to the new releases, and but if I was in a particular mood, I could go straight to a category. All right, I don't want to get too. I mean, yeah, I don't. You can any category that you find on Pornhub. There were aisles that are little sections that you would go into, and the place always had an awful smell. It smelled like this, just like floor cleaner. Like it was this which I imagine they used plenty of because they had video booths there, and I'm sure there was a fair amount of mopping going on. So it always smelled of like this sort of acidic, I don't know, vinegary floor cleaner, and it was very unpleasant. A buddy of mine and I went in there one time because he knew that I had a lifetime membership, of course, and I could get him in, and so he I don't remember if he had to sign up for one as well, but anyway, we were in there, and I couldn't decide what tapes to get. They all looked so good, and I ended up getting 8. I had a stack of 8 video cassette boxes, and I took them. You also rented them for like 4 days, so I knew that I would, 8 videos over 4 days. That's 2 of day. That's for a 20-year-old or whatever. Oh my gosh, of course I could do that. Nowadays, that I don't think I could, but I could back then. And I walked up to the counter, and I put the 8 videos down onto the counter, and the guy working there looked at me and he said, "Sir, that's too many." And at first I thought he was judging me, which, how dare he? He works there. You're going to judge me? You've made this your career. But no, what he meant was literally there was a limit on how much you could rent. It was 4. And I remember this. If you rented 3, you got the 4th for free. And I'll never forget one time this guy rented, I was like browsing and somebody was checking out and he rented 3 videos and and the clerk goes, you rent 3, you can get 1 more for free. And the guy goes, "Oh." And he went and he started looking he went back to like the videos and he started looking around like when you're at it just struck me as so funny because like when you're at a regular store and they go, you buy one of those, you get one free. You go, oh, can I go get it real quick? That's what this guy did, but it was for porn. He wasn't going to let that deal go. He was going to get that free video. Which, hey, good for you. It's their promotion. My gosh, take advantage of it. Are you kidding? So, anyway, but where it got bad was when like a worker kind of like when the clerks started to know my tastes and would be like, or they would know what actresses I tended to like, I would rent their movies more often. So they would go, "Hey, she's got a new movie out, but it's checked out." Like, damn it. I didn't mean to get this deep into it. And where I realized I had to slow down was when I would go, oh, she has a new movie? And they were, yeah, but it's not coming back for a couple days. And then I would go down the street to the other place and see if they had it. And that's where I went, okay, I can't live like this. So I don't think I was addicted, but I certainly, it was a habit. And yeah. So that's what I used to do. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, back in the day, I used to look at a lot of porn, and that's kind of where Tom's character or caricature of me comes from, was sort of the days gone by. Although, because I would talk about those days, and so now he attributes it to me today, which just isn't the case. Even though porn is now more easily accessible, my gosh, we all have porn machines in our pockets. You can watch porn at the at the airport, or if you're so bold. But yeah, I'm watching less, even though it's more available. But maybe that has to do with me being 42. Maybe it also has to do with me just wanting to do other things. I got other stuff I could be doing. When I was 20, I would work and drink, and when I wasn't doing those things, I was probably, I just had more time on my hands. Now there are, other things I should be and could be doing. Porn is and I've told a lot of stories about it. There's a famous story on the morning show of me asking my parents to return some videos I had rented before. That also was a sign that I had gotten too comfortable. They did it. I was going to get late fees if they didn't. I couldn't return them in time, and I knew that they had nothing going, so I asked them to return them so that I didn't get the late fees, and they did. I don't think it was their proudest moment. I certainly wasn't thrilled to be asking them, but I also, this is bad too. I also didn't have the money to pay the late fees, and if I couldn't rent anymore until I paid off the late fees. So it would have been awful. I couldn't. What I was referring to when I said this is bad just now was I remember I was really broke, like I was 20 something, and I just had no money, and Christmas came around, or maybe my birthday or something, and my grandparents gave me like $25, and I immediately cashed the check and rented porn with it. And boy, that didn't feel good. So maybe I was addicted. Who knows? Kimberly, I don't know if you're asking because it disturbs you, or I hope it does. There's a healthy debate about whether or not porn is good or bad. I think it's in the middle. Everything in moderation, of course. We could get into whether or not it's exploitative. I tend to think it's sort of powerful for the women involved in the business. They are the key to. They kind of call the shots. Nowadays, they can choose their performers. They make way more money than the guys do. They're in charge, and so there are some who say it's very empowering for females, and there are some that say it's degrading. The answer is probably both, depending on the situation. But that's for you to decide. I hope I'm not being naive. I like to think that everybody that's doing it wants to be doing it, and there's a ton of money to be made. That's for sure. I always joke that if I were a girl, it's all I would have an OnlyFans. I would have, and I'd be raking it in because I would be hot, so hot. So, long story short, too late. The answer to your question, Kimberly, I don't watch it nearly as much as Tom suggests I do. It's not a daily thing for me. Sometimes it's not even a weekly thing for me. I'm sorry if this is bumming out those of you who like the caricature of me on the morning show, but it's just the truth. I don't. I do still watch it. You know why people also think I watch a lot of porn even now is because I know the names of the stars, which I'll never understand. Guys who and you know what? I know plenty of women who watch porn. A lot of them are comedians and they live in hotels, so maybe that's part of it. I don't know, but no, that's not true. I know a lot of what we call civilians, female civilians who watch porn as well. Anyway, I'll never understand the porn viewer who doesn't know the names of their favorite actresses or actors. It doesn't make any sense to me. What do you, if you see somebody that you think is hot and you see them in a scene and they do things that you think look great, don't you want to see more of them? Don't you go, who's that? I mean, think of when you go to a movie theater, sometimes you'll see a movie where you don't know any of the actors in them, of course, but don't you typically go, oh, that's the new Tom Hanks movie? I've always liked his movie. I want to go see what this one is. That's how I operate when it comes to adult cinema. Oh, there's Gianna Michaels. That's her name? Okay, well, she's doing terrific work in this scene, and she has 100 others? Well, I won't stop until I see them all. Because I'm a fan. Don't you become fans of the stars? You should. In fact, I don't believe. I have a ton of friends who go, I don't know any names. You don't. I don't know if I believe. So what do? Just type in hot girl? Like, what do you? I mean, I know you can go to categories, of course. Maybe, you know what? I guess it makes sense. Maybe you don't need to know specific actresses. Maybe it's just a type. You can type in MILF or whatever, and you'll get. Although, let's be honest, the porn sites sort of fudge the whole MILF thing. Not all of those girls are moms. Did you know that? And by the way, not all of those teens are teens. All right. It's like, wait a minute. How could I just saw her in a MILF porn and now she's in a teen porn? Just because you gave her pigtails doesn't make her teen. All right, this is getting dark. But the there are certain things you can't fake, of course. You know, if you go to black and the person's white, you can't. Well, you shouldn't fake it. You're there are ways to, and it will be the last thing you do. All right. Yeah, this is absolutely my last podcast. So, I forget. Oh, yeah. So that's why people think that I watch a ton of porn is because I know the names of my favorite actresses. I even have favorite actors. I'm not afraid to admit it. There are guys out there and male porn performers whose sensibilities align with mine. I like the way they treat the women. I like the way they focus on certain activities or, whatever. So, look, if you're going to enjoy something, I mean, find your favorites and really enjoy it. It's kind of like, when you're in the mood for Italian, you don't just look for the first Italian place. You want to go to your favorite Italian place. And then if they're too busy or something, then you go, okay, well, or maybe every now and again you want to try out something new. That certainly happens with porn. Sometimes you'll stumble upon a clip and go, whoa, who is this? And then you learn their name. That's important. That's what I'm trying to say here. Learn their names. Get to know these people. Follow their careers. Okay. I hope I answered your question, Kimberly. And send your questions to joshpodcast@bobandtom.com. Well, I think I've taken up enough of your time. I hope this episode hasn't been uncomfortable for you. I know that that sort of thing isn't everybody's cup of tea, and I respect that, and I respect you. If you don't watch porn, does that make you a better person? Probably. It probably does. And my gosh, bless you for it. Because, and if you watch a ton of porn, does that make you a bad person? No. If you're cashing checks from your grandparents and renting, using that money on porn, probably. And that's something that I don't do anymore. Well, because my grandparents are dead, but also because it was something I worked on. Hey, let's not be so focused on this nonsense. Let's actually try to live in the real world. And that was something I worked on. And here's something I would like for you to work on this week. This is the final segment of each and every show. This is things to work on this week. Oh, this is exciting. I like it. Because this shouldn't be a somber occasion. This should be, yes, an opportunity to better myself. Something to work on this week. Let's celebrate it. Last week was tailgating. How'd you do? Did you not tailgate anybody? Good. No reason to ride the bumpers like that, all right? Just keep your distance. It's fine. So I hope not tailgating went well for you this week. This is a simple one, but it's and it may not sound like right away. It may not sound like well, if I do that, it's not really bettering the world or bettering me. But I assure you, it is. I would like for this week for all of us to say you're welcome. You don't hear you're welcome enough these days. You hear plenty of thank yous, and oftentimes that thank you is followed by another thank you. You see it on interview shows all the time. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for having me. Well, one of you say you're welcome, will you? Because here's what you're telling the other person when you say you're welcome. I mean, well, quite literally, it's you are welcome. You are, you're not only welcome to have your, well, what am I trying to say here? I should have thought this one out, probably. You're welcome. What you're saying is anytime. And that's what happens. Instead of saying you're welcome, because I think somewhere along the lines, you're welcome became considered sort of rude. Like, what do I say? So somebody says, hey, thank you. You're welcome. Well, what about thanking me? I just thanked you. How come you're not thanking me back? It's real simple. You go, hey, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. You just say you're welcome first and then thank you. And then that person ideally would go, you're welcome. And then it's over. I don't like some of the substitutes we've created instead for you're welcome. Hey, thanks very much for all your help. No problem. I didn't necessarily think it was a problem until you just said no problem. Yeah, that one really bothers me. Or, my pleasure's good. That's nice, but it's also a bit, it's about you, isn't it? Hey, thanks so much, man. My pleasure. Well, I didn't care if you got pleasure out of it. I wanted to thank you. Helped me, so I'm thanking you for that. Well, my pleasure. It's all about me. And I could be reading into these things far too deeply, but just say you're welcome. Let the person know. It's an invite. You know what it is? This is what I was trying to say earlier when I stumbled and hemmed and hawed. It's an invite for that person to ask for help again or assistance or whatever it is they're thanking you for. You're welcome to have me on again. You're welcome to ask me to help you move another time. That kind of thing. It's very nice, and we take it for granted, and it's not said enough. So this week, I want you to say you're welcome anytime somebody thanks you. And boy, if you really want to make them feel good, throw a very in there. You're very welcome. Or quite, if you want to get fancy. It just sounds fancy. You're quite welcome. Well, for those of you who are still listening to this, I certainly appreciate you taking the time to spend a few minutes chatting with me. Next week, oh my gosh, a terrific show. It's gonna be a great time because my guest next week is you. Holy cow! I can't wait to see you then. And well, now's the time where I'm going to say thank you for listening to that Josh Arnold podcast, and you're going to say, and I'll let you say it out loud wherever you are right now.